Welcome to the University of Rakamba, where knowledge is power for yourself. In today's lesson, we are going to bake bread using microorganisms. And the microorganism we are going to use is the yeast, which is a fungus. So for this process, there is some ingredients and items we need. One, we need a cup. We are going to use this home cup just to measure our amounts we need. Second, we need sugar. This is just normal tea sugar. We need some oil, normal cooking oil in our kitchen or in most of our kitchens. We need some yeast. So you can see this is the dry yeast I purchased from one of the shopping facilities. You can also get one. We need some water, warm water actually, at a temperature of about 37 to 43 degrees Celsius. And this temperature is very important. Otherwise, if the water is too hot, it will kill the yeast and the process will not work. And if the temperature is too low, then it will take a longer time for the yeast to prove itself. We need some salt. This is normal table salt we use at home for cooking. So we need some of this salt. And this is just a container for carrying it. It's not the product you can read inside it, just a container. We need some milk, but this is optional. But the purpose of adding the milk into our bread is just to make it juicy or tastier, but it's an optional ingredient. We need some tablespoons, as you can see later what they're going to be used for, among other items that I have not displayed here, like the mixing bowl, the kitchen towel, and even the plastic plates. We're going to use some of these, and they are readily available in our kitchen, so it's not a big deal. So first we are going to take our mixing bowl. You can see it is just a normal bowl you can find in our kitchen homes. You have it. Here it is. We are going to measure about 1.5 cups of water, and I'm going to use this cup just to do that measurement. So you don't need sophisticated kind of instruments or apparatus for the measurements, and you can as well get the same results with or without. So this is 1 cup of water, and don't forget this water is at a temperature of 37. And why 37? Because our body temperature is 37. The enzyme works at that temperature best. Then you add another 1/2 cup of water, so we have a total of 1.5 cups of water. So here it is, and the purpose of this process or this stage is to prove the yeast, to ensure that the yeast we are going to use it's working properly. Otherwise our bread might not bake as expected. So this is the yeast, you can see, and we are going to use 2/4 spoon full of the yeast. So you just pour some amount of yeast on the spoon And then to ensure that we have the right amount of the yeast, we are going to levelize the yeast on the spoon. So the excess of the yeast on the spoon, of course, will spill out. We don't need that. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. You can see I'm getting approximately the right amount of 1 tablespoonful of the yeast. Then you just pour it in our water in the mixing bowl. Then you measure the second spoon. Of course, of the yeast, and then levelize the yeast on the spoon to maintain the amount of the yeast we need. So we are levelizing that. You can see I am ensuring that I don't have excess of the yeast in my second tablespoon. So the excess, of course, you can see spilling out. So I add it, or you add it to the water in the bowl. We needed 2/4, so I'm just going to add a little amount. Of the yeast into the bowl. Good, well done. So we just mix the yeast with the water to dissolve the yeast. Actually, this process, we are trying to dissolve the yeast, at the same time proof that the yeast we are using is going to work. Otherwise, if this process is not done right, then our bread will not bake properly. So we are just going to add a pinch of sugar into this solution, just to activate the yeast, to provide food. Actually, sugar is going to provide food for the yeast, for it to activate quickly. So I'm trying to mix the solutions to get a bit homogeneous, and some of these crumbs of the yeast you can trash it, so you can see, to ensure that my solution at least is homogeneous. So I repeat, this stage is really very important. If after all our bread is going to bake properly, the yeast solution should be made correctly at the right temperatures. Okay, our solution, you can see, it's ready now. So we are going to take a kitchen cloth, cover it up, and give it about 8 to 10 minutes to prove itself. So after 8 to 10 minutes, the yeast is going to form the foam or the froth. So when the foam or the yeast froth forms, then that is a sure indicator that our yeast is working properly. So after 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, you can see there is, as you can see, our yeast has formed correctly. It has formed foam or yeast float on top, and which is a very good indicator that our yeast is functioning properly. So next we are going to add a cup of ingredients. one, we are going to add the right amount of sugar. Initially we had added a small pinch of sugar. Now we are going to top it up with the right amount, and we are going to have a quarter cup of sugar to bake this bread as desired. So you can see, you can just use your eyes just to keep on approximating the right amount. So that is just a quarter cup, so a quarter is just a half of the cup. Hope I've said that correctly. It makes meaning. So you keep on using your eyes properly to approximate the right amount. Still, your bread will be as good as that of the exact measurements. Then you can see, you just pour the sugar into our mixing bowl. And then next we are going to add another ingredient, which is the table salt. So you can see, this is just the normal table salt we use at home. So I'm going to take a spoon, take 1 teaspoon of the salt. For you to ensure you have the right amount of salt, as usual, you have to scoop and then levelize the salt on top of the spoon. This is a sure way of getting the right amount of the ingredients needed. So you can see I've almost the good amount, that is 1 tablespoon of salt. So I'm going to add it. So we are going to add it. So we are just making it as a group now. We are going to add it into a mixing bowl. And if you are not satisfied, or you feel like your salt was a bit less or more or less, especially, you can just try to add a little until your conscience is clear that you have the right amount of salt. So next we are going to add our cooking oil. Here it is. You can see this is just normal salad cooking oil we use in our homes. And I'm going to use or to add 1 tablespoon of cooking oil. So you can see I have the right amount of cooking oil, so I'm going to add it into the mixing bowl. So next, just try to stir the mixture to dissolve some of these ingredients so that we have an homogeneous solution. After you are satisfied with the mix, then high time now we should add our all-purpose baking wheat flour. This is just our normal all-purpose wheat flour we use in our homes. So we are going to add about 4 to 5 cups of wheat flour. So to ensure you have the right amount of wheat flour, so you are going to scoop the flour from the bucket. You can see my flour is in a bucket. After scooping it up, I'm going to ensure I have the right amount. That's 1 cup full by levelizing the top of the cup. So once that one's done, then we are going to pour the flour into our mixing bowl. So 1 cup full of flour is a bit less, so I'm going to add another one. As usual, you have to ensure you have the right amount by scooping and then levelizing, getting rid of the excess of the flour to spill into the bucket. So if you are not satisfied, then just keep adding as you levelize until you get approximate correct amount. Then you just pour it into the mixing bowl. Then you start the mixing process as you keep on adding the flour until you get the right amount of dough. That is elastic, ready for baking. As you can see, we need to add more flour here. So you keep repeating this process until the dough doesn't stick. On the bowl. And this is a very important process. You need to do it right to ensure that the texture of the bread we are going to bake is going to be of the quality desired. So as you can see, the dough is hardening up after keeping on adding the flour for a while. But have it in mind that we should have about 4 to 5 cups of flour. I think it is high time now. I should add a little bit of milk just to make our bread sweeter, nicer, juicy, if you like it. So you keep on kneading, you keep on mixing. Keep on mixing. as you keep on adding the flour until the dough does not stick on the walls of our mixing bowl. So you keep on kneading, I think for about 8 to 10 minutes until you have the right texture, the right ball of dough. And you can tell that when you try to punch it up or press it, and then it turns back. So until it's more of a elastic, as you can see. So you keep on kneading. This process is important to ensure that our bread we are going to bake will have the nice texture, tasty and appealing even to our eyes of the consumer. So you keep kneading and kneading. You can see our dough now is almost getting ready. It doesn't stick on the walls of the bowl. That is the first sign, the first indicator that our dough is getting ready for baking. After the kneading process, as you can see, our dough is almost there. You need just to cover it with a plastic plate and give it about 45 to 1 hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour for the dough to rise and double its size. So you need just to punch it up. I think this is a very nice kind of a process. You punch it up just to open the air bubbles or the gas bubbles, basically. Knead it a little bit. As you can see here. And then take our dough, press it on my kneading surface from a slab. You can see I'm just going to make one big loaf of bread. So I'm trying just to form a nice uniform slab on the surface. Once you are satisfied that the slab is big enough just to fit into your baking plate, then you will do what we call the folding. Then you just fold our dough slab as you pinch, actually, to ensure that it is closed up. You can see I'm folding it and then pinching it up just to close it up. Then get our baking plate. You can see this is just a normal baking plate that normally comes with the oven. I'm just going to use. Grease it up. This just to ensure that our dough doesn't get stuck onto the walls of this baking plate. We just oil it up with the normal cooking oil. Yeah, now as you can see, after 1 hour Our dough has risen, almost double the size. Now it's ready for the oven. I can't wait to test this. As you can see, we were almost there. I cannot say this is the best bread we can have, but that is how we use microorganisms to bake bread. Yeast for this case. If you find this video useful, kindly consider to subscribe and give it a like.